Okay, we are ready to get started with Coach Pinkel. If you have questions, please raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you.
Hi, Coach. Sandy Hooper, USA Today Sports. Evan talked about how the team was trusted with keeping Michael's secret. Can you just talk a little bit about that and, how proud of him you are of, making it in the NFL draft?
Well, Michael Sam, I was very proud certainly of our football team, our football program, our athletic department, there's been many things said about the whole thing, but bottom line is, one of our core values is we respect the cultural differences of other people, and we didn't talk about it last year for the first time. When you get in our program, we talk about those things. So, I'm very proud of Michael for having the courage to do what he did. Hopefully 5 years from now, we're not discussing this. That this is not that type of a subject. But proud of him for being drafted. He's with the Rams. It's a tough league to make. It's I don't care what round you get drafted, and it's hard to make a team. But certainly hope that he certainly has the opportunity now, and hopefully he can make it.
Hey, Coach. Hunter Mandela, Bleacher Report. How successful do you see Michael Sam doing at the next level?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, the NFL is so very competitive. A lot of times it has a lot to do with the team, their needs, kind of what they're looking for, the defense that they run, how they would use him. And but he obviously had a great year a year ago, one of the best players in the country. I just wish him well. Hopefully he can make it and continue to play football.
Avery Wilkes, Gamecock Central. Missouri opens its SEC slate with South Carolina this season. What do you remember about how frustrating it was to watch that game slip away last year?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm pleased that you brought that up. You know what? Bottom line, you got to win the fourth quarter. You got to do the things right, necessary. We had a lead going to the fourth quarter. They made the plays, got in overtime, and a couple overtimes, and we didn't do the things necessary to win. And I think, they found a way to do it. And that's this is a fourth quarter league. You got to play. It's like the NFL. You got to play well in the fourth quarter in this league, and if you're going to win. And for the most part, we did a great job of it a year ago, but. South Carolina outplayed us, and they deserve to win.
Coach Amos Hollandhead, WIAT Birmingham. After having a great season, getting all the way to the SEC championship, what is your approach now that teams are looking to come after you after having such a good season last year?
Well, I don't. Last year people said we had a chip on our shoulder going into the year. I mean, there's all the different analysis of the year and kind of how and why it happened. I think the best thing we did last year was we just focused on ourselves. It doesn't matter who we play or where we play. It's about how we play. And I think that's one of the best things. And I think the leadership of our team and the coaches did a great job of keeping us focused on that. If you start worrying about looking at our schedule, and you start worrying about all the teams you're playing, you're not going to sleep very well. Number one. Number two is you're not going to have a chance. So. The whole key is to get to have your team developed, and that we're going through that right now, the process of developing this team, that trust each other, that they prepare from Sunday to Saturday and kickoff to play their best game, and then deliver their very best. They've done everything they're supposed to. And that sounds easy to do, but in my business it's very difficult to do, to get a whole football team to do that at that level, the level you need to. So that's what our focus was a year ago. Our focus is really that way every year. And that's kind of, we just go back to the same things that we do.
In the very back.
Coach Jake Young from WJHL in Johnson City, Tennessee. You guys made such a big jump last year from year 1 to year 2 in the SEC. How critical do you feel like it is, whether you're entering a new conference or having a new coaching staff, to try to make a jump like that from year 1 to year 2?
I don't think you look at it as a jump. I mean, every year you want to be the best you can be. Every year you want to win a national championship. And, I think that's for us, it was not, we want to make this kind of a jump. It was just about going out each and every week, and that's how, methodically going through the gauntlet of this league, game after game after game. And can you do it, and can you keep winning? And if you lose a game, like our South Carolina game, can you come back and win the next game? And then at the very end, you kind of see what your record is, and you come out of it. So. We didn't look to do that. We want to compete for a championship every year, and really, nothing's changed in terms of that.
Right here.
Coach Dave Keelan, Fox 61 Chattanooga. James Franklin went through a lot of injuries last year, and Maty Mauk played quite a few snaps for you. What is it going to take for Mauk to establish his name as an elite quarterback in the SEC this year? Because it seems like there's not really any high marquee names like we've seen in the past.
Yeah, a lot of great quarterbacks left the league a year ago. The good news, bad news about last year was the bad news. We lost James Franklin for the fourth quarter of the Georgia game, and then for 4 straight games. And the good news is we had a redshirt freshman come in and play at a very high level. Even in the South Carolina game, he played at a very, very high level. So I think that I think you're always proving yourself. I think he's a great competitor. He's a great leader. He loves to play. He loves to compete. And but bottom line, we always got to prove ourselves. We all know that. But I think one thing I know is that we got a guy that's got the it factor, and we got a guy that can play. Now, how far can he take his game? Hopefully, he can take it really far. And that position itself, you got an offensive line protects for you. You can run the football. You got people making plays for you. It's certainly much easier quarterback. The other thing he brings different than most of our quarterbacks that we've had is all our quarterbacks have been athletic enough to run, but he can really run. He's got great speed, and that brings a whole different element to our opponents. And so. It's going to be fun to watch him, But the thing about him is, though, there's nobody that wants to win or work as hard and as competitive as he is. And I feel very fortunate that a year ago, we could lose a quarterback for a third of the season and have a young player come in and play a level he did.
Very bad.
Coach, can you just talk about what some of the keys to staying in an institution for a long time, aside from winning football games?
Winning football games. I mean, that's how. Ultimately, you got to win. When I remember first got a job at Toledo, I'd say prayers at night, saying, I really want to take care of these kids, but if I don't win more games, I can't take care of them. That's our job to win. I'm kind of a loyalist guy. When I was head coach at Toledo for 10 straight years, I had opportunities to leave a couple times, but I wanted all my 3 of my kids graduate from the same high school. That was one of my goals. So I turned down some things. Missouri was appealing to me for a lot of different reasons. I've had several opportunities to leave here, 3 specifically in the last 5 years, and I feel that we're doing all the right things there. That you can win at a high level at Missouri as well as you can win anywhere else, and I get committed as long as they're committed. When we went into the SEC, my comment was that if we do not want to invest, don't get in the league. And so as long as I know is that they want to win and they want to be successful, I'm in, and they're very, very committed to do that.
Courtney Cronin, Clarion Ledger. Coach, you played Ole Miss in November last year. How do you game plan for a player as explosive as Robert Nkemdiche on that defensive line?
Well, I mean, tackle him. Do something. Do anything you can. I mean, there are so many great players in this league. And he's one of them. You got to know where he's at. You got to understand that that you might have to double team him, which opens up other opportunities for people. They just present a lot of problems. So, tire him out. Run fast paced, tire him out so he gets tired. He's a great player, and we all got the challenge of playing him.
Right here up front.
After losing players like Michael Sam and others on the defense, how are you guys going to improve this year, and what are players that are going to be someone we may not know now, but it's going to impress us later?
Well, I think we got a lot of good young players in our program. Charles Harris is a redshirt freshman defensive end. Marcus Loud is a redshirt freshman defensive end. We got Shane Ray back. Marcus Golden, back. Both those guys are 2 of the guys that got drafted. They're as good as the 2 that left. And then these 2 freshmen are 2 guys that I think are guys that really can come in and make an impact right away. They got to do it. I saw them outside the weight room yesterday, and they walked by me and talked to them about that a little bit. But we're going to have players, all over the place. And that's typical, really, to every year. You're going to lose players. You got to have guys come in, and bottom line, it's you're going to have guys produce for you at different spots, and that's how great players are found. They all of a sudden they play at real high levels.
Coach, Steve Nissom, WEAR, Pensacola. Last couple of years, you've gotten a lot of players out of Pensacola, specifically one high school, West Florida Tech. Obviously far from your backyard, but what have you seen in that program that's kind of caught your eye?
Well, they've done a great job, and we think they're great players too. So I think that, and I think the other thing is, Nate Crawford comes up with us, and he ends up being, he's talking to the players back, saying this is a great place. That's the greatest sales you get out of anybody. You got a player at a school, he's calling his coach and calling the guys on his team and saying Mizzou's awesome, and that doesn't mean they're going to come there. It just means that's the biggest form of recruiting you get, that kind of evaluation that stamps the program as this is a great place to go to school and play football. So I think those things have been very positive in terms of that.
Mike Owen, KNWA, Fayetteville, Arkansas. 22 years after joining the league, I don't think you could get the average Razorback fan to tell you who they want to beat the most, who they dislike the most. Can Missouri be that team for them?
Can Missouri be that team for them?
Yeah, the rival, the team they want to beat every year.
That's awful deep for me. There's no reason on earth that I think, because I have great respect for Arkansas. Historically, too, and I think it's got great potential to be one of those kind of games that it's just. But we got to get it done, and we got to prove it, and we got to compete against them. And I think it has great potential to be a great rival.
Coach, your team and Auburn both made great strides last year in order to make it to the SEC championship game. Who's a team on your schedule this year that maybe you see as a team that could do that you really feel you have to warn your players not to let down against?
I warn my players about that every game. I mean, I can't. I mean, it's a great league. I mean, that's why what happened last year happened. It's great programs, coaches, great competition. But I expect everybody to be good. And if you stay healthy for all of us in our business, life's a lot easier. There's some new programs that started the last 3 or 4 years, and most of those programs are starting to establish themselves internally and getting guys on board and all those things, which we constantly do, but certainly transition-wise that's difficult. I expect all those teams to be better, so we'll see what happens.
Were you surprised that Dorial decided to go to Oklahoma, and do you support him possibly being eligible this season?
I want things to work out well for Dorial. Bob Stoops called me about 2 months ago. We talked a little bit and know Bob well. And I wanted, at the time, I didn't know what they were going to do. But I want things, Dorial gets a second chance here. And he's got a chance to, and I think he's going to take advantage of it. And more than a football player, as a person, I want him to do really, really well. And he can, because he is a good kid. And so to me, he's got a second chance here. As far as playing right away, that's an NCAA issue. That's not, I have nothing to do with that.
Over here to the front right.
Coach Mahir Begath, KOMU. 4 straight hours of interviews. What's the most repetitive and just the question that you just hate answering?
I love all you guys, So I mean, I embrace every question that you ask.
Hey, Coach. Chris Price, WBRZ in Baton Rouge. I'm wondering, as you look at the evolution of some offenses around the SEC and around the country, are college offenses starting to look more like high school offenses? And could that, in turn, what you guys are doing, make more of a move into the pros? How much are those all sort of tied together?
Well, the shotgun quarterbacks, 10 years ago in the NFL, occasionally you saw it. Now there's shotgun quarterbacks all over, so everybody steals from everybody. I think one of the great things that's happened to college football and down at Auburn right now, their offensive scheme that they're using is different than everybody else's. I mean, but everybody's stealing it. I guarantee everybody's studying their film and getting parts of it and everything else. And that's a great thing about innovation in offense. Another thing that's been big, and it's been a big factor as far as discussion, is that of the fast-paced offenses, and that's happening in the NFL at Philadelphia Eagles and some other places there. That's happening, and that's influence from college to the NFL. And the fast-paced offenses. So I think that's been great for college football. The injury part of it is, my only comment about that is, we were in the fastest league pace-wise in the Big 12 in the country. Okay, I was in there for 12 years. By the last 7 years that we saw that, they do it faster than anybody. And never once did I have our team physician, our trainer, any coaches walk in my office and say, Coach, I'm concerned about the health and the welfare of our defensive players. I never heard that, ever. I didn't hear it until just about 8 months ago, and then all of a sudden I hear it's a big factor. So It's great thing about college football, more so than maybe anything, high school and the NFL also, is the innovation that you have and how it's changed. And I think this is one of the great things that has happened to college football. And we're not a real fast-paced team, so it's not like, you know, we're one of the fastest teams in the country. We're not. We do it at times. I just think it's great, and I think it's something that's real important. 7-on-7s? I think it is, as long as it's done from a safety standpoint. I think it's very, very positive, as long as it's safety.
Final question.
If you could change one rule in recruiting, what would you change?
I would have a signing date, an early signing date. I think that would save a lot of money. I think it would. You'd find. I just think we would. I think there's a proposal in our league has a proposal to have a signing date. I think it's the first Monday or first Wednesday after Thanksgiving. I forget which exact day it is. And there's some rules, criteria that you have to use not to be able to sign early. To those people that always want to go to a place, and so I don't want to go on there. But that'd be the one thing I think it would help recruiting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.